Where did we leave off? Let's see here. In the 3rd chapter on being eyeless. Eyeless meaning not these kinds of eyes, but this kind of eye. The big eye, the ego. Maybe we can learn from his approach at life. Swamishri also welcomed instructions from his disciples with grace and respect. The organization's executive committee usually meets every year after the Guru Purnima festival in Poshina in central Gujarat, which is in India. On the 8th of July, 2009, Swamishri was asked to join the meeting an hour later than planned. He agreed. Swamishri was always on time. I could learn from that. The 1 or 2 times that he arrived late, he entered with folded hands and apologized for being tardy. That afternoon, Swamishri walked into the meeting room at the designated time. Just as he was about to walk towards his seat, Vivek Sagar Das Swami instructed, "Please come back in 5 minutes. We are in the middle of this discussion that we need to conclude." Swamishri did not utter a single word. He turned around and walked back to his room. He sat down quietly and started to answer the letters from his bhaktas, his devotees. A few minutes later, Brahma Viharidas Swami came into the room with folded hands and sat by Swamishri's feet. He started with an apology. "Sorry, Swamishri, we were discussing plans for the mandir in your village of Chansad. We knew that you would not entertain the conversation, and hence we asked you to return in a few minutes. I know these things do not affect you. You are above it all." Swamishri gently raised one finger in the air and traced it down to the ground. "I am the lowest of the low. I am the sadhu's Choranmuraj, the dust at the bottom of another's feet. I have no issue with taking instructions from you. I am a sadhu, a monk, and therefore below all of you. Never hesitate in instructing me." Brahma Viharidas Swami notes that this one quality set his guru apart from the hundreds of religious leaders with whom he had interacted. Swamishri showed that he genuinely embodied this sentiment time and time again. In the decades that I spent learning Hindustani Sangeet and Sanskrit from traditional gurus or interacting with religious masters from around the world, I noticed a power dynamic between the seeker and the master. The dynamic was not just limited to the sharing of knowledge, but also a sense of expected authority. The master was always right, in a position to direct and rarely willing to listen. As a guru, Swamishri was a spiritual master in every sense. He was instructive, encouraging, and at times a disciplinarian. But he also listened to, cared for, and revered his disciples. He would follow orders, give up his seat, and touch his disciples' feet out of mahima, or an appreciation of their greatness for their seva, their selfless service to the divine and creation. Once, when Swamishri was preparing to speak to a sabha, an assembly, in Mumbai, Narayan Munidas Swami knelt by his sofa and whispered in his ear, "Swamishri, please only speak to the audience for 10 minutes today. We are running behind schedule." Swamishri nodded in agreement. Swamishri finished his address in less than 10 minutes. Narayan Munidas Swami was grateful and thanked Swamishri. The Guru acknowledged his disciples' instruction. "I must listen to your Agna too." Not actually sure what Agna means. I think it might be vision. Let's ask Mataji. Oh Mataji, what does Agna mean? A-G-N-A.
Namaste, my dear Yam. Ajna, often spelled Agna, means command or authority in Sanskrit. In the context of chakras, it is the third eye chakra, the center of intuition and insight. It's like the Wi-Fi router to divine wisdom.
The Wi-Fi router to divine wisdom. Well, I was right in associating it with vision, being the Agna chakra. But here it refers to command as well, I see. That makes sense. I must listen to your Agna too. Bhagwan Swaminarayan, who is his Ishtadeva, speaks through all of you. Narayan Munidas Swami joked, well, please keep following our Agna. The rest of us only instruct you when it is for your schedule and health. But Swamishri wasn't joking. He folded his hands and softly said, Of course, Swami. And if I falter at times, please do forgive me. And hello, Auntie. And I love you too, Moonflower Muse. And hello, Tali. Swamishri's address to the audience is typically scheduled at the end of an assembly, and he was often asked by the organizers or sadhus to trim or even completely cancel his speech to fit the length of a broadcast, or accommodate the scheduling of another religious or community leader in attendance. Swamishri would gladly oblige, even though the requests pertained to his blessings to his own disciples in his own sabha, assembly. Hola, Marlin. A good leader is personally involved and does not merely shout orders. Swamishri did not guide and instruct from high up on an ivory tower. In 1989, Swamishri was in Mahesana in northern Gujarat for a 7-day katha amidst the bustling construction of the mandir. Swamishri finished a few meetings in his residence and was getting ready to go to Sabha, assembly. He noticed several youth volunteers passing buckets of dirt dug out from the mandir's foundation under the beating sun. Before anyone could react, Swamishri wrapped up his upper garment tightly around his body and joined the chain of volunteers. The youth standing in front of Swamishri was hesitant to pass over the bucket of dirt. Swamishri assured him, I am one of you. I am a volunteer too. I am here to help. It is okay. Pass it over. Swamishri gently tugged on the bucket and took it from his hands. Thousands of bhaktas, devotees, were awaiting his darshan, his viewing presence, in the sabha, but Swamishri stood with the volunteers, passing buckets of dirt for the mandir's foundation. He did not have to speak or show his humility. The more than 35 buckets of dirt that he carried when he was nearly 70 years old were a testament to his humility. Driven seva, selfless service. Swamishri walked the talk. I'm happy you like the live, David. Leaders and mentors protect their team by publicly shouldering any blame. This show of support preserves the team's respect in the eyes of the larger community, which in turn further motivates them to do better. Swamishri did something similar for me in 2004 when I was traveling with him in Edison, New Jersey. The sadhus were upset that I did not apply a tilak chandlo. It's a kind of sectarian mark of sandalwood and vermilion powder applied to the forehead. You might see some Hindus wearing that every morning after our daily puja rituals. It is mandatory for members of the community. I partly stopped doing it after I developed a few allergies on my skin. I was also partly embarrassed to wear the bright sectarian mark on my forehead to college. Swamishri noticed a few times and gently reminded me to apply it. I would do it for a few days, but then stop again. This became a pattern. One morning after Swamishri's morning puja ritual, puja means a kind of loving worship, several of his personal attendants approached me in the hallway and asked Swamishri to give me an agna to apply my tilak chandlo. They were insistent. I was silent but started to feel the pressure, especially with the people around listening to the conversation. I'm happy you like the hat, Ranjit. I am outside. Swamishri noticed the discomfort on my face. He raised his hand to stop the others' inputs. Wait. Listen to me. I have already talked to him about this, and the matter is settled. All of you need not worry. He is going to start soon. The sadhus asked, Well, when will he start? Swamishri smirked and said, Well, that is not up to me. He is waiting for my agna, my command. Come on, it is time for breakfast. Yogi, get back to the kitchen. The next morning, I stood in the same place with my tilak chandlo on my forehead. I continued applying the mark on my forehead until I took up my first job on television as a news reporter. All it took was for him to stand by me and ease the pressure off. He shouldered the blame, which inspired me to do the right thing. And why don't we pause our reading of In Love, at Ease there for now. So thank you for listening with me.